Welcome to the Style Sports Hub, presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Hub podcast presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us today. I want to thank our partners that make it all happen: Lake Sumter State College, Lake Center Home Care, and United Southern Bank. The Sports Hub podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and other sites. So make sure to like and subscribe because it helps us out a lot. So thanks a lot. Today we get the chance to talk to Lake Sumter State College softball coach Jay Miller, his assistant Abbey Primavera, and current softball player Megan Wright, who's going to join us on the program in just a couple of minutes. But I want to welcome you both to the Sports Hub. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. You for having us.
Thanks for having us, yes.
Yeah, looking forward to what you guys have going on. Obviously, coming to the end of your season. You're at 27 and 26 right now and fighting for the playoffs. Jay, how's the season been for y'all?
Actually, Abbey and I had talked before the season started that from last year's conference championship, regional championship team, we lost all but one full-time starter. So I said, there's a chance that we might be 500 and competing the last weekend, and here we are. The one thing I didn't kind of foresee was the total peaks and valleys, how high we got and how low we got, and the distance between the two. But here we are playing meaningful softball in the last weekend of the regular season.
Yeah, so important for you guys, and especially for you two now being in your 8th year, I believe, at Lake Sumter State College, and you've seen a lot of stuff happen. You're the all-time winningest coach at Lake Sumter State College. Just talk a little bit about this program, how it's built the last couple of years, and where it's headed.
So when I took over in the fall of 2015, we took over a program, my staff and I, that averaged 11 wins a year for a decade. So we play 60 games. Imagine going 11 and 49 for 10 straight years.
Right.
So it was year 3, and actually Abbey was coming in as a freshman, where I took my coaching staff and I said, listen, we're going to stop doing things the way everybody thinks you should do them. We're going to do things the way we want to. If it doesn't align with what everybody thinks coaching is, then so be it. But the number one thing we're going to do is we're going to put people ahead of players. Mm-hmm. We're going to focus on the person, the holistic approach. And so the result in Abbey's freshman year was the best record the program's ever had. The first 30-win season, first winning season in almost 2 decades. I think 99 was the last previous time they'd had a winning record before that. And then you fast forward to 2022, which was a big year, probably our most talented team that we've ever had, and we fell short. We fell under 500. And why? I looked at myself, I looked in the mirror, and I said, for the first time since 2018, we focused on winning, and the results weren't there. And so we actually redid our whole philosophy again. We brought Abbey back in as our pitching coach for the 2023 season. And that was a big focal point was, we're not even going to discuss winning as an outcome. We're going to discuss the process every single day. We're going to focus on the people. We're not going to have goals. We're going to have other ideas of what we are looking for, because goals are just objectives that you meet along the way. Mm-hmm. And that led us to our first conference championship, our first regional championship, and really 6 outs away from going to the World Series in the district championship against a number 2 Lewisburg team that came into our place riding a 56-game winning streak. So we've evolved, and what I love about our program is I think we are kind of, the experiment a little bit. It's funny because I heard Deion Sanders talk about his Colorado team being the experiment, and I'm like, man, I've been experimenting with this whole coaching thing since about 2018, where it's like we're not going to focus on winning, we're going to focus on people. I believe the best thing that we do is not X's and O's. The best thing we do is we create an environment that allows growth, development through failure. Failing is okay, especially in a game that you fail so much at. And it's tough in this generation. These girls, they fail at a game where society doesn't accept failure anymore. You have to be perfect because that's social media, that's the generation, and that's not okay. That's not real world. That's not real life. So we build around that. And it's gotten us to this point. And we have a lot of freshmen, a lot of new faces this year, a great mix of a couple players coming back from injuries who missed the entire season last year. And they're a wonderful group. And we're excited for this weekend.
Absolutely. And Abbey, I want to talk about you. You could have went to a lot of different programs, of course. You ended up settling on the Lake Sumter State College program. And I want to ask you, what took you to the Lake Hawk program? I guess you came in when he was just kind of starting off as a coach at Lake Sumter State College, and then built the program into the powerhouse that it is today. Of course, the championship that y'all won last year, which was terrific. What brought you to the program, and what made it so attractive to you?
It was him, really. My recruiting process, I didn't go on a lot of visits, but I came here, and he was honest and open and talked about all his girls and how they loved it and how he treated his players more like people than players. And that was a huge thing with me. I come from an interesting background, but he was really the reason that I wanted to come here and wanted to come back and coach.
Well, I'd love to hear about that background as well. I was talking to Coach Miller before we got on the air here, and I wanted to sort of hear your story because I've heard nothing but good things about you. So if you don't mind telling your story, we'd love to hear it.
My father was my coach growing up. My whole life we were super close and stuff, and he got into problems. He became a drug addict, and I lost him while I was here, and it was really rough. It was a hard time. I didn't want to cry on this, but it was really rough. It was really hard. He was my best friend, but I had him to help me through all my stuff. So it was really cool.
She came into the program, obviously tough circumstances for Abbey, but she came in. She contributed to the program. She grew the program, and now she came back to the program. What does that mean to you?
The funniest thing was Abbey was a problem when she first got here. We had to have a couple conversations, and then it was like, Abbey would say this thing. She's like, I'm not going back home. I'm not going back home. And I was like, listen, if you listen to me and you do things right, you don't ever have to go back home. And she did. And, the biggest thing about Abbey was when we had a pitching coach position opened up, I called her. Didn't know this. She's on the bus at Franklin Pierce on the way to their first regional appearance tournament ever, and she is the starting pitcher that day. And I said, yo, buddy, I've got a job. Are you interested? And she said, yes, I'll be there. And I said, but I have to know why. And her answer was, I want to do for other kids what Lake Sumter did for me. And I was like, done deal, let's do it. Abby has had as much of an impact on me as she tells people I have had on her. I wrote a book a couple years ago, and there's a chapter called "The Girl Who Saved My," or "The Girl Who Changed My." What is it? The Girl Who Changed My Life.
Yeah,
I think, and it's all about when I got to Lake Sumter. I wanted to do the 3 years, climb the ladder, move up. I wanted the D1. I wanted the Power 5, and Abbey literally taught me that the value of an athlete, the value of a human being is not based on D1 next to their name or D2 or D3, NAIA, JUCO, whatever it is. They're the same value. And so it made me really stop and contemplate that if I stayed at the junior college level, our turnover is 50%. If I stay here for 10 years, other than going someplace else for 10 years, I would actually impact more lives at the junior college level. And so if that's really why I'm doing this, then I should stay here. And she just taught me so many valuable lessons. And so, I told you before we started this, you want to get me going emotional, and you want to get me crying. Like, there's times where Abbey and I can look each other in the eye and just start crying at each other because we know, the broken road that brought us together. And I always tell people I've got 2 beautiful boys at home, and they're like, well, you should try for a girl. And I always go, I got Abbey. Abby's the closest thing I'll ever have to a daughter, and I'm just fine with that. And
it's amazing that you say how she impacted your life, and it's seeing that is just such a joy to see how that's impacted you and everything. I want to ask Abbey, how has Coach impacted your life as a person?
I mean, an insane amount. Like, everything I do basically is through him. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Everything I want to do is basically what he wants to do. He taught me so much on everyone, has a story. Everyone has a background. You don't know what people are going through. You shouldn't judge them off of one thing. And that's really why I do what I do. I want to help these girls. I want to be able to give them what this place gave me.
Yeah. How do you carry the weight of that on your shoulders and remain professional at the same time?
I mean, I have to do it. I mean, there's no other choice. I don't want to just not do anything with my life, basically. I know that I have to work hard, so I have to just go through it every day.
When you got the call from him to come back as a coach this year, it was terrific that you're coming back and you're giving back, especially to the Lake County community, especially to Lake Sumter State College, which I love that you're doing that. What did that mean to get that call from him?
It meant everything. I mean, I was in the middle of my season, and it was on one of the days I had the biggest games of my life, basically, and it was just to make everything better. We had ended up winning that game, and I got a job of what I wanted to do. And it was basically a dream come true.
Yeah, and you're here working with Coach Miller, working together, the player and coach dynamic. Sometimes, players and coaches, sometimes they butt heads and everything like that. It doesn't seem like you, maybe you butt heads. I'm not sure how it is, but
Never.
No, not at all, really.
It's awesome because the way she shuts the door in my office, I can tell if there's a problem or not. I can read her like a book, and the same thing. I'll walk by her and she'll, grab my arm and go, "What's wrong with you today?" It's a relationship like no other, where one of the best things about her is also one of the most annoying things about her is she has no problem telling me I'm an idiot and I'm wrong. But at the same time, as soon as we both walk out that office, we're one unified front to do what's best for these girls, whether we agree with each other or not. I'll never forget last year, out of nowhere, we got beaten the first state championship game because it was double elimination. And I'm sitting there blaming myself. I'm mad, whatever. Girls all go home. I'm making sure Abby's getting in her car, and she just breaks down and cries. She goes, "This was my fault." And I was like, if I think it's my fault and you think it's your fault, and I was just like, buddy, this is the coaching world. And I actually said, "You want to come do my favorite thing when I'm sad?" And she goes, "What is it?" I made her watch, cat videos and
military homecomings and
marriage proposals. I said, "You watch these videos for 5 minutes." She's like, "This is the weirdest thing." And then we got on the bus the next day. She's like, "You're right. I feel so much better." So, and we went out and won the game. So yeah, no, it's amazing. It's a great relationship.
It is super cool. I'll have umpires. I'll tell the girls on the base something. I'll whisper in their ear, whatever, and he'll yell across the field the same thing I just said. And even the umpires would be like, just like he knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. Being that Lake Sumter State College, obviously still basically in its infancy as far as sports and athletics go, they're building. I wanted to talk about as far as the championship last year and winning that as a program. I mean, you came in when the program was still building itself and eventually found itself in winning seasons. Now it's doing pretty good. You want to say a 27-26 record after that championship season. What does that mean as a coach and as a former player to be a part of a championship winning team, the first one to do it at Lake Sumter State College?
I'll never forget that Darian Pippin, local kid, came to us 3 years prior. She got the COVID year, everything like that. And she was the kid in the circle when we won it. And I just remember how hard I hugged that kid who stayed home, to establish something that hadn't been done yet. A lot of girls had many other offers, and a lot of girls had no offers, but they were all here because they wanted to be here. We call ourselves the Island of Misfit Toys, and the girls really love that kind of camaraderie that everybody has baggage, including myself. Let's all carry our baggage together. Let's all do this together. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about everyone. So to be validated that it was the right way to do things is probably, to me, because we went out on a limb. We did things different. I would call days off of practice and we just sit and talk, and it wasn't necessarily kumbaya. There was a purpose to everything, but mental health in the last few years took a real forefront in our program. Mm-hmm. And doing those things that I think are different, not yelling at our players, instead we'd have one-on-one conversations, open door policy, all that kind of stuff. That's just, I would love to be able to go into other people's programs and go, "Hey, here's some suggestions." Everybody's got their own way, but the biggest thing for me is validating that we did it different and we were successful.
What does that mean to you to do it differently? I mean, you've been able to learn under him now the past couple of years. What does it mean to do things the way that he's doing them at Lake Sumter State College?
Well, now for me, coaching, it's the best full circle moment ever. Like it's just so cool to be on the other side of things now, to be able to empower our girls and have like 20 plus girls trust me with things that they don't trust anybody else with. And that's really the big thing, is making sure they're okay, the mental health side of things, making sure they have someone to talk to, knowing we're always there for them.
Yeah. I feel like it's so important, the team dynamic, with the camaraderie that you build with the team as well. What is the importance of camaraderie? I mean, I feel like Lake Sumter State College, he called them the Island of Misfit Toys, but maybe that brings the girls closer.
It does, for sure, especially because we're just a 2 year, so we only have girls and they are only here for 2 years. We don't have the stretch of a senior being able to lead a team. It's you have 1 year and you have to figure it out, basically.
How is that dynamic too? Because you come into a JUCO, junior college, and basically JUCOs, you only have players for 2 years for the most part. Some of them might stay. I think Lake Sumter State College trying to get some 4-year programs as well, which is great. But as far as the 2-year programs go, you're at the point where these girls aren't staying for 4 years. So how do you build a camaraderie with the team in those 2 years?
I tell people all the time the biggest and best police force for this program is the players itself. If I get a recruit that I don't personally know, I'll throw it in the group chat and listen, these girls find stuff in minutes. I had one a couple of years ago who played with Abbey, who I was like, I've never heard of this. Can anybody got it? And she's like, I'm on it. And she's like, she drives a red Mustang. She's at Planet Fitness right now. She just broke up with her boyfriend a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, I don't need all that kind of stuff, but the girls themselves police. They know the standard, they know the expectation, they know what it takes to actually make it here, and they're willing to step up and talk to us, talk to their teammates. And there was early on, you're always going to have situations throwing a bunch of girls into apartments and everything from different backgrounds, different places. And one of our freshmen felt confident enough to go to a couple of our third-year sophomores. And the girls go, what's happening shouldn't happen in this program, and we'll take you to Coach Miller if we need to, and, this is how we would handle it. And I'm like, that's the best part. And then guess what? We squashed it. No issues since. But the girls are the best part of the program because they are actually the gatekeepers. Yeah. I tell people all the time, it's my program, it's your team.
We'll hear from one of those girls coming up in just a little bit. We're going to hear from Megan Wright coming up on the program. I want to thank Abbey for coming on. Abbey, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. We can't wait to see what you do at Lake Sumter State College and what you guys build at the program as well.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break here on the Sports Hub podcast. When we come back, we'll be talking with Megan Wright next on the Sports Hub.
Is pain or restricted range of motion keeping you on the sidelines? Get back in the game with expert orthopedic care from UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics. UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics provides robotic-assisted surgical joint repairs and replacements, post-operative care, and inpatient rehabilitation services, all close to home, right here in Lake and Sumter counties. And for those unexpected injuries, UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics offers convenient walk-in and same-day appointments. To learn more or to schedule an appointment with one of their specialists, call 352-323-5665.
Hey, everybody, we are back on the Sports Hub podcast. I'm Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us. We're talking right now with Megan Wright, and we're also talking to head coach of the Lake Sumter State College program, Jay Miller. I want to welcome you onto the program, Megan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, you're back into the softball game after taking a couple of years off, but you're back with Lake Sumter State College. Megan, you played with the Mount Dora Christian Academy in Mount Dora for a couple of years, and had a great career there and graduated a couple of years ago. What have you been up to since then, and what brought you to Lake Sumter State College?
Well, out of high school, I went to UCF in 2020 and COVID and everything, so I didn't move in until September. I was there in the fall of 2020, and then I transferred to St. Pete College in Clearwater for the spring of 21. and just didn't have the best of the time. So I just quit softball for then and was just kind of like in and out of school, working, hanging out with my family and friends for 2 years. And then I want to say April, I went to MDCA game because the girls, like the last girls that I played with, they were graduating. So I went to their senior night and I'm talking to somebody and I was like, oh, I just want to put a jersey on and like run out there with them. And he was a travel ball coach at the time, and he was like, you still have eligibility left. And I had no idea, like that never had crossed my mind prior. And I was like, no way. And I told him, like, I want to play softball again. Like, I don't know who I am without it yet. I'm just super, like, I never lost a love for the sport was also a big thing for me. And so he reached out, and then I told Coach Z at Mount Dora Christian. She's like a second mom for me. I love her. I also reached out to her that night and told her, like, hey, I want to play college softball and whatnot. And I didn't really have, like, a super idea. And she was like, Lake Sumter. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, immediately, like, I haven't heard anything bad about the school or the coaching or the program or nothing of the sort. So she reached out to Coach Miller, and I went on a workout, and it all worked out for the best.
So she came. What did you think about this girl when you first saw her? And now she's on the team, contributing heavily. We'll talk about her statistics here in a bit.
So honestly, we didn't have a scholarship open. A couple weeks prior to that, Molly Bender, who was an All-American last year, had let me know she's done with softball. She's not coming back. And so out of nowhere, I'm like, where does this come from? And then Darian Pippin, actually on our team, came in and said, hey, I've got this, former teammate of mine, yada, yada, yada. And I trust Darian with everything. I got a call from actually Casey Allen, a former player of ours. Her dad, Troy Allen, called. And I'm like, all right, these are two great people in my life that I trust. And I was like, let's bring her in on a workout. She was rusty. I remember that. She was rusty. And I think you even might have pulled a quad or something in the middle of your workout. And even our girls are like, I don't know. And I was like, listen, I'm just gonna be honest with you girls. I've seen a lot of games. You can't teach her swing. Her swing is beautiful from the left side. She's not a slapper. She is a power hitter. I said, if we can bring that out in her, then we're gonna get something, some kind of what people would refer to as a diamond in the rough. I don't actually think that. She just came in, and man, once she got mentally comfortable with the environment, she's done everything. Mm-hmm. It's not me, it's not Abbey. She's done everything, and it's been absolutely spectacular to watch.
Yeah, she's having a heck of a season. I want to go over some statistics I have right here. 143 at-bats, 33 runs scored, so you're getting on base, which is very important. 59 hits and 37 RBIs with a 4.13 average, which is terrific. On-base percentage, one of the highest in the teams. So one of the most important things, of course, is getting on base, and that's what you do. How did you, I guess you've been playing since 2013 as far as softball goes. You have maybe some of the most experience on the team, I would argue.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, especially like in the college aspect, because I was at 2 different schools prior, and then I was just kind of like in school. I don't know necessarily about like softball, because a lot of these girls started like t-ball and everything like that. I didn't start playing it all till 6th grade, but I guess more of like the mental side and just like being tough, and like in college, it's so much different. Like, yes, travel ball in high school like somewhat prepare you, like nothing will ever prepare you until you're there, and just accepting like everything happens for a reason and trusting the process. As we say, like, you just gotta work through it and do your thing.
What's the biggest jump you made when you got to college and playing softball?
I'm not sure, honestly. It's like definitely hitting was like a big thing for me, because going from like straight out of high school, and then COVID hit, and we just like really couldn't do anything softball like against each other or anybody else. So it was kind of hard, like, getting back into it at first. And I just felt like so much pressure at first in college to, like, get on base, or, like, I was just pressing too hard, and just kind of, like, letting go of that and letting God and everybody else take control.
Well, you're playing back in your community, too, back in Lake County. This is where you grew up, which is really cool. What's it mean to have such a great college in our town? I mean, this is our hometown college.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. It's such a great feeling. And just knowing people that come and support, and they know and likes Lake Sumter and love to come watch us play in any of our other sports, it's an amazing feeling. It's very comforting for sure.
And she's one of a few players that you have out of Lake County playing on your team. Island of Misfit Toys, but you all come together, whether it's here in Lake County, whether it's around Florida, outside of Florida, they all come in and they're part of a team. And that's really what you're building here at Lake Sumter State College. And I think Megan is a perfect example of that, where she comes in and she's able to help contribute to the team.
Oh, I think Megan and Abbey are both the epitome of what we want to produce as a program, as far as people and players go. One thing we do extremely well is we do bounce backs really well. Allie Shinnefield last year, we got a transfer at the break last year, who is another, she's from, South Sumter High School. Lexus Adams. She just got her 100th career hit. Like, she's only the 6th or 7th player to ever do that in our program's history. So we do well with, I understand the small town feel. You want to get out of this small town. Listen, I lived in a small town. I wanted to get out of my small town, and then I found myself back in my small town, and I understand that. So I always tell girls who choose other schools, I'm like, hey, just don't lose my number. Something could happen. And you'd be astonished at how many people call back. Even if it's not me, they know, like, hey, do you know a school who's open? I don't have any scholarships. Yeah, I got this school that's open. I'll help you out. Because I wake up and I work for my student athletes. That's who I work for. That's who I serve every single day. And the whole point is to make their lives better. So even if it's not necessarily my kid, the program itself means more that we're willing to help someone else's player get wherever they need to go.
He's incredibly motivating over here as well. Is that what attracted you to the program?
Of course, definitely the motivation and just like the passion. And I read his book also prior. My parents read it before me, and they're like, Megan, oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're going there. Like, it's going to be amazing, because I haven't had the best track records with coaching in the past. And it happens. It's life. It's softball. It's anything. And I'd heard no bad things, all good things. And as I always say, people over player. And I was just thrilled to even have the opportunity to come to the school and play.
One of the greatest things I think in Lake County and Sumter County and in our region of Central Florida is that women's sports are on the rise, which I love. And a lot of these programs are starting to focus on women's sports. And I think that's so important to have that, whether it's Mount Dora Christian Academy, whether it's our public school programs, you can start to see that rise. Even Eustis softball right now, they're in the top 10 in the state of Florida, which is terrific. We talk about the rise of women's sports and how important that is as a community, that we continue to focus on that.
So it's I get a lot of people asking me, how did you get into softball? I played college baseball. Actually, I was offered a college baseball pitching coach job before I decided to go back and get my master's and really strictly deal in softball. But I was raised by two sisters and a mom. My dad worked and worked and worked and worked and worked, and he was a great dad, but man, he was working. So I got my two sisters and my mom. And so I developed from a young age, I connected better with females than I did my male counterparts. And so being able to have that connection, I grew up watching women's sports, and not saying these are women's sports. I just grew up watching sports, and I was surrounded by my sister's teammates and all that kind of good stuff, to where now it's almost like I feel like everybody else is catching up with what I saw growing up in the Midwest in Ohio and women's sports. And the amazing thing I have said about the fall is we went to Eustis High School. We played them, and they beat us. We went to Montverde Academy. We played them, and they beat us. And here we are fighting to get into the district tournament of junior college softball. That's the kind of talent that is in this area. That is just, we opened the season number 15 in the country, and we're getting beat by senior-led, pitching-led high school teams. That just tells you. And the funny thing is, people thought, are you mad about it? And I said, we got better getting beat by them. So no, this is just part of the process. Brittany Beal has done an amazing job over there at Eustis High School, and they've got some absolute studs, and it seems like they just reload and reload and reload. And if going and playing them every year, and their team's going to make us better. you know.
They nearly pulled off an upset against Montverde Academy just last Friday night. So Montverde Academy scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th, came back and won that game 7-6. Yeah, it was a heck of a game. So looking forward to hopefully them playing next year as well, because it was really fun seeing those 2 top 10 programs get together. But let's talk about Megan for a moment. What are you studying here at Lake Sumter State College?
At the moment, I'm about to finally graduate with my AA in general studies.
There you go.
Super excited about that. Math was not my friend. But in the fall, I'm going into my BAS in sports leadership.
Well, congratulations to you. That's very exciting, and you get a great future ahead of you for sure. What's your advice to younger girls that are coming up through the programs, because you played, from 2013 to 2021, you played a long time from junior high school. You experienced the high school levels. What's your advice to young girls coming up through?
Definitely love it. Have fun. Make it last while it can, because you don't take it for granted, because you never know what's going to be over. And like I experienced through that, and a bunch of other girls do too as well, my age and a little bit older or younger. With COVID, it's taken away in half a second, or anything could happen. You never know. And I always knew I loved softball, and just like make sure you love the sport. If you're not having fun, don't do it. Like if you're not passionate about it, and it's not like the time of your life every time you're out there, then you have something else you're passionate about, and that's totally fine just to let go and whatnot. But being away from it just like grew my love for it more. Like I couldn't even like look at a softball, go to games. Like I never really watched it on TV, but one of my friends has a younger sister, and she was like 12 at the time. Hey, like come to her practices. And I was like, dude, like I can't, like my heart hurts if I'm not on the field. Like I really couldn't be around it for the longest. And I went to that MDCA game, and eventually a couple of her sister's practices and helped them out a little bit. And I was like, wow, like I love this sport so much, like I don't know what I'm going to do without it, and here I am back to it.
She mentioned as well, Coach, that the COVID impacted players that have come through that. She's one of the last that are going to be coming through your program that was impacted by COVID. She brings, sort of a chip on her shoulder, because a lot of these girls were impacted by that. They didn't get the championships. They didn't get to walk at graduation, a lot of them. What sort of mentality is that brought to the program, and have things changed since COVID? Of course, I mean, everything's changed since COVID, I would imagine.
It's a stark, immediate reminder that it can be taken away from you real quick. And it's not even that. That's the proof. But, we talk about you play this game at 1 gear, 100%, because you don't know what the next day brings. You don't know if you're going to get to play the next day. You don't know if you're going to wake up and be sick. You don't know what's going to happen when you walk out of your house. So when you get that opportunity to put that uniform on, and even when you're not playing, when you're in the dugout, what kind of teammate are you? And the biggest thing about Megan, and she brings a lot to the table. Megan was our first ever national NJCAA hitter of the week. I mean, hitting 800 is insane. And it was 5 games, I think. I don't even think it was just 3 games. It was 5 games. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it. But more important than that, if I need someone to talk to a player that I'm like, they don't need to hear my voice right now, Megan's the go-to. I'll say, hey, man, can you give this kid a little bit extra time? Your teammate, they got a little something going on. I don't think they want to talk to coach about it. Could you be the voice of reason, or and then on top of that, Megan is the loudest person I've ever met in my entire life. I'll be sitting there, someone will make a pitch and it's borderline and it's a ball, and I'll just go, ooh. And all of a sudden I hear, no, from all the way in left field. And then it's like, when we play on the road, she's so excited to dance to other people's walkout music. She is just exceptional person, exceptional teammate. And on top of that, man, she's a great hitter.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll see her on the Savannah Bananas.
Oh,
that would be fun. I would not say no. I would definitely say yes.
Yeah. What did that mean to be the player of the? It was a player of the week or player of the month?
National Player of the Week.
National Player of the Week. That's the first in Lake Sumter State College history. That is huge for you.
It was awesome. I didn't even really realize at first. I was like, because I knew it was hitter of the week. You told me, and then you sent the thing in the group chat of never happened in school history, and I was like, what? We've had hitters of the week before. And I was like, oh, I didn't even I never look at stats or like base myself off of that. I never have, and I never will, because it just doesn't help my mental health at all, especially in the sport. But it was amazing. Like, I could not have done it without my teammates and this coaching staff and my family and the good Lord. Like, I just gave all credit to that and just try to like stay in the moment and not try to let it like weigh on my shoulders too much, because that can be a weight. People expect something out of you, but I was just like, I'm going with the flow. I'm having a great time. I'm living life. So I'm just going to stick to doing that.
And so before they had announced it, her roommate and I are texting back and forth, waiting for the announcement to come out. And I'm like, did you tell her? Did you tell her? I was like, don't tell her. And she's like, I think she's still asleep. And I'm like, how is she asleep? And so then the reverse actually happened this week. Her roommate was named Region 8 Hitter of the Week. And she was the first one to jump on the group chat and be like, that's my roommate, so it just spreads throughout the team.
Yeah, just the camaraderie with the team and just everything that you're building. And hopefully this weekend goes good for you. You're able to get through. One final piece I wanted to talk about was the importance of mental health and players and everything like that. We talked to Abbey, of course, before. She sort of touched on the fact as far as mental health goes. What is the importance of that, especially as we reach 2024? I feel like mental health is more important than ever.
100%. It has to do with everything, like not even just your sport, your school, like just your life in general. If you're upset or anything, it's better to talk about it. I mean, some people like to isolate. I like to do that. But at some point you need to talk about it or just like work through the motions, and it can be trying, but just day by day, honestly, or if you want to do it like hour by hour, just trying to get stuff done and just do your thing. I don't know. Yeah. It's really important.
So mine started 2022. Young lady from James Madison had just won Hitter of the Week or won her conference award, whatever that was. And a week later, she committed suicide. And that caused me several sleepless nights. Since then, and we had emphasized it before, even more now. I actually went back to school for it and got a graduate certificate in student athlete mental wellness counseling. To me, there's not a basic education out there for coaches to be in any kind of situation where I've had 3 players lose a father while they were on my roster. And there's not an education in any school that prepares you for that, to be that person, to make sure they are taken care of emotionally, physically, mentally in that moment where they just lost one of the closest people to them. And it's happened to us 3 times. And I think there's a higher power on who gets sent to my program and who doesn't. But it needs to be on the forefront, and I'm trying to be a beacon of pushing it onto other people's forefronts. I've offered coaches, hey, I'll do a Zoom with your team. We'll do this team building exercise that brings out mental health. We need to focus on this. We need to focus on that. But I spent $6,800 of my own money to go back to college as a 37-year-old with 2 kids and a full-time job and a mortgage, just because that's how important it is.
That's amazing, Coach. I want to thank both of you for coming on our program today. Learned a little bit about the Lakehawks and what's going on over there. We wish you the best of luck. Hopefully you're able to make the playoffs this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, absolutely. We're going to come back on the Sports Hub and wrap up next. Are you ready for your future to take flight? Whether you're graduating high school or looking to level up, Lake Sumter State College offers affordable degrees and certificates that will punch your ticket to success in a rewarding career. Plus, with programs like Direct Connect to UCF, your opportunities with LSSC are endless. So, what are you waiting for? Join us in Leesburg, Claremont, Sumterville, Four Corners, or online. Learn more at lssc.edu. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sports Hub podcast. I want to thank my guests for coming on today from Lake Sumter State College. I also want to thank our partners that make the Sports Hub possible: UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics, Lake Sumter State College, Lake Center Home Care, and United Southern Bank. We'll see you on the next edition of the Sports Hub podcast.
This has been the Style Sports Hub, presented by UF Health Medical Group Orthopaedics.